chain partners. Value chain, as we had discussed briefly at the start of the session, that 75% purchase or sales by whomsoever a listed entity does will become your value chain partners. Upfront to do is to identify such value chain partners. And under various reporting matrices, we have seen that we have to give out the details of the value chain partners. There are various management policies, whether they have adopted those policies, complaints or grievances under the 9 principles, where they have set mechanism of receiving and redressing those complaints and grievances, what the listed entity has done in terms of creating awareness among the value chain partners. So they become kind of indirect reportees through the listed entities. I think very important coverage that the government has tried to do over here. So awareness to such value chain partners, as we had discussed initially in our session, is very, very important. Engaging with them, making them aware what data we'll ask from them, to start implementing those processes, mechanism, so that such data can be given at the end of the year. I think very important engagement that the listed entities need to do with their value chain partners.
Vivek, what is upstream and downstream value chain?
Yeah, upstream would be like if I am selling my product or services. So the recipients of my product or services would be upstream. So if any one particular recipient, my customer, avails 75% or more of my total sales, then that is my value chain partner. And downstream would be like my suppliers. So my supplier, if I have one particular supplier which is supplying more than 75%, we can take various industry examples, like in the online e-commerce aggregators. You would find that several business houses have set up separate legal entities who are the sellers, and the e-commerce player is the market service provider, is the platform provider. So for the platform provider, if they are listed, the value chain partner would be the seller on their platform.
Yeah, seller on the platform. Again, in some cases, then you would just have to go beyond, just the 75% metric and see, would not have 1 or 2 sellers who can contribute that number. And just to add, a supply chain, basically referred only to the system and resources required to move a product. A value chain is something which at every aspect of the way a good is or the product is manufactured, right from its initial stage, from a raw material to the time it comes to the final customer. Let's talk about a pack of biscuits. How does that entire, at every step there is a value addition, and therefore it's called as a value chain. So for every value that is added, how are you as an entity, how relevant that is, and how you are as an entity treating your value chain partner in each of these levels of adding value to the product or service that is being provided. So, and the disclosures have already been just called out by Vivek, so I will not delve on that again.
So just to deeply understand this. So I am let's say I'm an automotive manufacturer. So I have 200 OEMs which are providing different raw materials to me, from a screw to a steering to engine to other things. So what would comprise the 75% of it in terms of the total value of what I'm procuring? So let's say 50 of my partner or 200 will from the value perspective contribute to 75%. So these 50 will become a value chain partner. Is that correct understanding, Vivek?
So in my view, I think if one particular supplier is such that it is you are sourcing in terms of value 75% of your components from that particular OEM, in case of your example of automobile manufacturer, then that one particular supplier would be your value chain partner. Suppose you have 4 or 5 suppliers for the some specific component in the engine, and all 4 or 5 of them put together uh, constitute the 75% in value of the total sourcing that you do. I don't think all 5 of them will become your value chain partner. I think here the idea of the regulator is to identify uh, the backward and forward integrations that you have done, and backward and forward integration to a specific entity if you have done. So industry wise, I'm sure your components, a group will always be you will always have a group which will supply 75% of your component. So taking the whole of the group is not, in my view, is the idea of the regulator here. Identifying a large supplier, large customer would be like, I know a listed entity which manufactures graphics which can be pasted on the automobiles, right? Like the car logo, the graphics on the two-wheelers that we have on the fuel tank, and that particular manufacturer is the largest supplier for a particular brand of two-wheelers. So virtually they are both of them for each other are indispensable. So while the manufacturing entity, the two-wheeler manufacturing entity is also listed, this particular graphics manufacturing company has also got itself recently listed, though it is mid cap or small cap, but it will have to evaluate from the perspective whether that particular brand of two-wheeler, they'll have to calculate their total supply, and if that particular two-wheeler manufacturer is consumer of 75% of their product. So if that particular two-wheeler manufacturer is value chain partner in terms for the manufacturer, for the graphics manufacturer, then graphics manufacturer will have an obligation of reporting about the two-wheeler manufacturer, though that is also listed. So I think there. Yes,
sorry,
sir.
go ahead, Vivek. Yeah, I'll finish.
I'm done, sir. Your turn,
Yeah.
please.
So just one comment, to Jayant's question is, I think the 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 wording used in the regulation, to my mind, and we can double click on that later, is cumulatively comprising 75% of its purchases, sales by value. So to your question, is, let's say you have 50 suppliers of a particular raw material or a component of the product that you are ultimately manufacturing. Those of the 50 who in value are at 75% of what you totally need or what you totally have been procuring. So that can be 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 as well, because typically when you have a product which is not that technologically advanced, you might want to spread your vendor base to so that you are able to get always better terms. But if it is something like Vivek just mentioned about a very a standalone, a very technologically high end item, then you have very limited vendors there, and obviously more than 75% at times may also come in from maybe 1 or 2 vendors at best, or you might want to create an additional bench strength there, or alternative by considering even import, because you don't want to be subjected to let's say very tough or unfavorable terms in your contracts with a local vendor or an international vendor. It can always be used as well, but it is cumulatively comprising 75% of an entity's purchases and sales by value is the way we would look at it. So I hope I've answered your question.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rajendra. Yeah, let's move next. Okay.
Yeah. I think we kind of looked at it, in some detail, as Vivek had mentioned, the implementation about improving the information visibility, data collection, Again, vendors are differentially challenged in the sense of resource allocation depending on what business they are in and what is the size of their business, whether they're able to allocate the time and the resources, effort, even being able to understand what ESG stands for, and have a complete a granularity of the understanding that is matters to them is really a challenge. The orientation towards sustainability at a vendor level, really needs to be developed. I think one of the trainings or one of the awareness programs, as the essential indicators, leadership indicators actually called out, is how much you are spending time with your value chain partners in ensuring that they are able to see life in the same light as you are. uh, your the supplier's commitment, lack of knowledge towards sustainability, as I called out, lack of IT integration in the value chain. These are typically, I think, the issues which will surface when you reach out to or try to drive down or drill down the ESG mandate across your value chain partners. But I think that this will again be an ongoing thing, effort, and going forward as you move along, you'll definitely have a more aware of value chain partners also participating. Because as I called out right at the beginning of this webinar, is the government is not just sitting quiet looking at mandating the ESG through BRSR, through the SEBI regulation route. The company law committee is also considering to come up with a rigorous regulatory framework for unlisted companies of a certain size. So they will also have in some point in time to adhere to these requirements in one form or the other.